Good evening and a heartfelt welcome to 2022. That can only mean one thing: we pick up where we left off with the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup Round 5 kicking off the second half of the season, and we are off to the Nordschleife. It's David Christie and David Russell, and as you can tell, David, I'm just a little bit excited tonight because this is the one that I've been waiting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, buddy. Hope you're well. And yeah, welcome everyone into the new year. Very happy to be here. Hopefully, well, new year, but same brilliant action we've seen in the last 4 races. And I'm still very surprised you've actually joined us for the commentary this evening, David, because I know you're a big fan of this race. And I know you were quite keen to get yourself into the race for this one, weren't you?
Well, we've got to give them a chance. I mean, if I was taking part, either all hell would break loose or I'd win it quite handsomely. You know, I'm just that good. No, really, I absolutely adore the Nordschleife. It is my favourite circuit that has ever existed. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience for everyone taking part tonight. And can you imagine, David, if we get anywhere near the same amount of rivalry and intensity at this circuit, it is going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely mental. Of course, there's not a huge amount of big overtaking spots. Obviously, you've got a couple of longer straights. You've obviously got the GP circuit that'll have a chance to put some moves around. But really, it's going to be a case of make a move at your peril, really. And well, if we've seen anything in the past 5 rounds, if we include the pre-qualifying at Le Mans, we know that these guys are very, very good at making moves from seemingly out of nothing. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. One thing I will say is I'm very glad this is a reverse grid series, because if we had to do qualifying as well, we'd be in for quite a long evening. But we'll be getting underway very shortly.
We'd be getting the chess out, game of Uno while we're waiting, maybe Connect 4, but we don't have to worry about that. What we do have to worry about, David, is the amount of slapped wrists that we had just as we went off for the Christmas break, because obviously race 4 was at Watkins Glen Boot, and the amount of penalties that we've had dished out, absolutely incredible stuff.
Yeah, like you say, but 9, I think it was 9 penalties altogether, 2 warnings and a few DQs for good measure as well. Some of them were completely fair enough. Obviously, we won't go into too much detail, but yeah, some people not holding on the brakes and some people making moves that maybe you shouldn't have done. But yeah, look, it's happened. I think people are getting ready for their Christmas dinner a few days later, weren't they? We had a couple of weeks off, a couple of practice sessions at the Nordschleife. Hopefully everyone's back to it and ready and raring to go like we are.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Very good evening to Axel Lador and Dan Pride, who is joining us on YouTube chat, saying that evening all, that them and Corey Pride have taken many laps round the Nordschleife in the real world. So maybe a little bit of insider knowledge there, although, to be honest, I think given how many people can quite freely jump onto this circuit, I don't think that's going to count for too much tonight. But yeah, as we said, just getting ready to go green here, and I mean, for the championship as well, so much rests on tonight here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, looking at the pro points, you got Vince Peters. He's still in the lead of the championship, despite the fact he had I wouldn't say a bad round at Watkins Glen, but not as good as his normal format leads us to believe. So he's dropped a little bit in terms of gap to Nick Madsen, who's sitting in second place pro-am wise. Dan Sedgley and Igor Koss leading the way. Dan's got a bit of a gap as well. Of course, he had a really decent round last week. Dan Handover was one of those ones who got a big old slap on the wrist, so he's dropped a little bit further back as a result. And in terms of the AM class, Chris Chatterton continues to extend that gap. Ryan Hamilton and Jason Dilworth keeping him close for company as well. So all of those guys are around. I can see Eric Benson's in the inner serve as well. He's a little bit further back in P7 in the championship, but as a result, he'll be starting a bit further up the grid as well. So it's always going to be interesting. And 75 minutes, two mandatory pit stops. It's going to be very interesting to see how tonight plays out.
Yeah, and that is the other bit as well, is, you know, given that we're talking nearly 10-minute laps here, 8.5 minutes for the most part for these laps, David, you know, strategy is going to be such a huge thing tonight, is it? Because you don't have that many options. You've got, if it's 75-minute race, you've got maybe, say, 8 laps, right? You've got to pick 2 of those pit stops in those 8 laps. It's it's a difficult one.
It is, yeah, and like you say, obviously the guys they've got is it 50 litre tanks. That's the max that they can have in terms of fuel for these races, so it does force them to do something. And like I say, because of the length of the track, obviously there's no pit lane halfway around the circuit. So if you miss that pit stop entry and you have to go around for another lap, you've either got to be very, very careful and be proper conservative of your fuel usage, or there's a chance you might not make it back. And we'll be hoping for none of the latter, but it still remains to be seen. It's something that's going to play a key part in this evening's racing.
Yeah, I think race control are going to be a little bit curious if there's any bumping going on back to pit lane. They're not going to look at that very, very kindly. But we're about, half a minute away from getting onto the grids. We'll take you through the lineups just now. But final thoughts then, David, on Nordschleife itself as a track. Is it one that you particularly like?
It is, yeah. It wasn't for a while. Didn't do any real time on it up until probably about a year and a half ago, probably pretty much since lockdown kind of started a couple of years back, really. And then I actually started on Project Cars 2. That was the first time I saw it, and then moved into other sims as well, and now onto iRace as well. And it's one of those, like, I can pretty much up until the carousel take you around as easy as anything. It's that final sector that I really, really struggle with, because it's there's so many undulations. It's really difficult to get your eye in. But those who get it right, that's where the real time's gained, I think. And if people do get it right tonight, which I'm sure plenty of them will, then they'll be doing well by the end of this evening.
Yeah, for sure. So we see the session moves on. So we are getting ready to go racing. Then the cars will all head out to the grids and make their way around for the start of this race. And obviously, remember, 3 separate starts. We've got the Pro class, the Pro-Am class, and the Am class will be taking us round. But it looks like it's going to be Benjamin Blanche on pole position for the Pro class, along with Senny Lansons, Arias Diamantis with Dan Kell on row 2. Row 3 is going to be Thomas Gurlian with Francois Aldrini, and then row 5 is going to be Bastien Maitler and Laurent Bento, that's row 4. Row 5 is Nick Maidson and Vince Peters for the Pro class. Pro-Am is going to be Ben Smith with Eunice Dreyer on row 1. Row 2 is going to be Chris Staines and Max Furtwängler, Jem Fierro and Harry Willis on row 3. Row 4 is Corey Pride and Steve Martin. Row 5 is Stuart Reynolds and Igor Kos. Dan Sedgley at the back of that grid. And then Dean Timms with Thomas Verm Jr. at the AMs, with Simon Underhill, Ross Dunstan in row 2. Row 3 is going to be Eric Benson and Dan Gilding, and then John Williams and Jason Dilworth on row 6 as well. Then row 7, Ryan Hamilton and Chris Chatterton. So, well, here we go then. The car's taking them down through the Dottinger Straight here. I've got to be honest, I am actually almost giddy with excitement here, David. I normally like keeping myself calm, cool, composed and collected. That's all going out the window tonight, because yeah, this is going to be an absolute barnstormer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you combine the action that we've had in the last 5 rounds of the track as iconic as this, and it only means one thing, and it means we're going to have fantastic racing. You see the classes now splitting into their respective gaps on the track. You see the Pro class will lead us away, Pro-Am will come second, and then the Am class will come after us. 32 cars in total, 10 in the Pros, 11 in the Pro-Am, and 11 in the Am class. All looking forward to this, and we'll get underway very, very shortly.
Yeah, we certainly will. So it's the Gesamtstrecke variant of the Nordschleife that we are going to, which, if I remember rightly, it ends up cutting off about halfway into the GP circuit, but we'll find out in just a second, because we are getting ready to go across the line and go live for round 5 of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup. David Christie and David Russell here with you, and look at this, it is absolute mayhem as the car's trying to jostle for position on the run down into turn 1. Again, very, very difficult on the brakes as the cars, Lanson's overshooting it, tries to cut back on the inside there, but everyone getting through successfully just now. This is the Pro-Ams getting underway then, as that is going to be the number 94 of Ben Smith, who absolutely rockets away. Great start for him. Look at Max Furtwängler trying to make a move up the inside, now switches to the outside at turn 1. That's going to be Eunice Dreyer that is going to be trying to hold him off, and you get the feel that it's not going to be for very, very long, but it does. Eunice Dreyer holds off there, and we move then to the Am start. Dean Timms, Thomas Verm Jr., who is going to get the jump here? It's going to be Dean Timms on the right hand side there, gets a great start, and that means that Simon Underhill is immediately going to be jostling for position with Thomas Worm Jr. All of the Am cars straight into turn 1. Then there's always contact, that's late on the brakes, and I think that might have been Simon Underhill on the inside line there. But again, despite that, all of the cars get going through. We move back though to your Pro-Am battle side by side with Ben Smith and Eunice Dreyer. knocking lumps out of each other, proverbially, but still managing not to actually touch each other just now here, David.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming down to the bottom of the hill on the GP circuit early doors, but no quarter given so far. You can see Senna Lansons has taken the lead in the pro class. Francois Aldrini up a couple of positions, Vince Peters up a position as well, but Ben Smith being harried through the Schumacher S's up to the top of the hill as we end or come towards the back end of the GP circuit. Is anyone going to try and make a move? They're not. And realistically, this is probably how it's going to be for of any mistakes for the next couple of corners, but will remain to be seen. Look at the gaps across them at the moment. They are so close. They're too wide still. Cody Pride just about sitting in behind Stuart Reynolds, but side by side through 95% of this lap. It's been ridiculous stuff so far. Nothing less that we'd expect, and that is his number 10 car. That is Laurent Benzo facing the wrong way as we go on to the Nordschleife now.
Yeah, there we go then. So Max Furtwängler moves up into second place. Here's a replay then, and Benzo just spins it on the inside of the curb. Now that is right at the start of the lap, if I'm not mistaken there. That is the left-hander, the start of the lap at the Nordschleife. We see a car spin off, and that is Arius Yamantis who loses it, and that, I believe, if I'm not right, is just coming through Flugplatz. So already early on in the lap, and we've got drama going on as Senna Lansons under real pressure there. Huge air there from Benjamin Blanche, the two of them, huge trust as well, going side by side as they come down Flugplatz and down through Cottonborn.
Jesus, I mean, you see the front ends of those two Porsche 911. Oh, there's three wide going back down the hill. This is ridiculous stuff. How on earth have they kept it going? You've seen Senna Lansons on the grass at points there. Benjamin Lansons has kept the move going into Arenberg. And this is ridiculous stuff again. Look, we say this every single week, don't we? The action that these guys bring out is nothing short of extraordinary, but that was something else. And here you see, just going through the first couple of corners on the Nordschleife area, Schumantis loses it on his own. He was part of that incident between himself and Laurent Benzo, but lost it on his own on that occasion. He's going to drop himself right back to the back of that pro class now.
Meanwhile, Max Furtwängler now takes the lead in the Pro-Am classes, so does Benson. Eric Benson in the lead of the Am class as well. So again, fights all the way through, and you better believe that it's three-car battles all the way through here. As you can see, Francois Aldrini caught in between a rock and a hard place here for the Pro class, in behind Senna Lansons and trying to stay ahead of Benjamin Blanche as well. This is coming, they're pretty much about a quarter of the way down through the Nordschleife just now, and this is coming up through into Metzgerfeld, but let's have a look here. Simon Underhill, and he just runs the car a little bit too wide there, gets away with it thankfully.
Yeah, just rubbed himself along the Armco barrier there, didn't he? Worked out quite well for him. Luckily didn't collect whoever that was behind him. Keeping a keen eye on Aldrini there, because he was the fastest in practice, an 8:27.27 in the practice session, fastest of anyone in that race. Stuart Reynolds is put in under a bit of pressure. That is Jane Fierro looking up the inside and lets the move stick. Lovely stuff from him there.
Yeah, brilliant stuff as we see again back up to the front then. This is Bastian Maitler trying to hold on ahead of Dan Kelnick Maidson, and look at that in the background. Who's that? None other than Vince Peters. He is on the hunt as well, and this is on the run. This is on the run up towards Bergwerk here, the right-hander, then through the left-hander, and then it's through up the hill as well, and then again it's almost like a hairpin right-hander here, and the cars head up the hill and then on the run. This is my favourite bit of the track here because it's just full chat, it's full on the accelerator here. You've got a little bit of a kink to the right hand side here as we get a replay of Ben Smith. That's some big damage on the right hand side of that Porsche there. He's going to have to watch himself, and that's literally, he's just trying to avoid all of the traffic. Very good accident avoidance here, and oh my goodness me, 4-car battle then. We said it was going to be a difficult place to get overtaken done, David. I think we're going to have to maybe reassess that.
Absolutely, egg on my face already, and we're just over 5 minutes into the race. This is ludicrous stuff here. And Ben Smith, after that accident, after the incident you saw on the replay just a second ago, he's retired to the pit lane, so I don't know if we'll be seeing him anymore this evening. But coming up towards the carousel, Madsen follows by Kell, followed by Peters, followed by Goldalian, and that's another one of the pro class just in behind as well. and somehow we've had no contact between these two. But it's just come back to what you were saying there, David. Like you say, it's a lovely bit of track, but it's all about momentum up that hill, isn't it? You want to get the best exit possible because you, like you say, you're flat pretty much up until the top of the hill. So really important for these guys, they get the benefit of that because they've got so much slipstream going up there, just following the hole that Mattler is putting in the air for them.
Yeah, as Gianfierro, damage to the front left, ends up having to retire to the pit lane, maybe get back again. Look at Vince Peters makes a move. That's going to be up to Hedvig, so gets it done, or almost gets it done. Excuse me, because that is actually Dan Kell holding on to that position. And the surprise is the fact that Vince Peters not actually able to make that move sick. That is something we have not seen all season, David, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. He's really good at making those moves when you really don't expect it to happen, but he didn't on that occasion. Dan Kell, perfect defensive response and managing to keep the position. Max Furtwängler, though, under pressure from Chris Danes. Look at this. Chris has got the inside. What a move. It's Reynolds, Dreyer, sorry, is good trying to make the move as well. They've both gone past him. A little bit of sideways action from Max Furtwängler. He's gone from first to third in the matter of one of the shortest straights in the circuit. Yeah,
and that's obviously been a mistake from Max Furtwängler that sent him back, and he is now under real pressure from Cody Pride. We've got an off track for Thomas Gurley, and that means he's had some sort of an incident as well. And Max Furtwängler is absolutely limping at this stage. Look at how much time he's already lost to Joris Dreyer and to Chris Danes up in front. And there you go, that's confirmation. Back to the pits goes Thomas Gurley, and so we've lost Ben Smith, Gianfierro, and Thomas Grain from that as well. So absolute madness. And Thomas Grain was fighting for arm, and there goes Cody Pride into the wall, and that is unfortunate. Goodness me, I cannot believe that. I got so confused there. That was actually Max Furtwängler because Cody Pride's name tag was up there, but of course that was the iconic green car of Max Furtwängler. So, and you've got a car off in the background as well. That is Benjamin Blanche. Goodness me, what on earth is going on here?
Oh, just loses it. One of the fastest parts of the circuit, come through the Galgenkopf and onto the back straight. Just losing the back end. Really easy to do in these Porsche Cup cars. You see Jonas Dreyer pushing Chris Danes around that same piece of track onto the dot into straight. As who's this now? Senna Lansons and Aldrini battling for the lead of the race, going into the final couple of corners. Steve Proudly, our broadcast director for this evening, has got no idea how to keep up with all of this. He's sub for Mike this evening, and he's somehow managing to keep abreast of it. I don't know how he's managing it because we're barely doing the same job ourselves.
Yeah, it's a thankless task, and all I'm going to say is, Steve, just get an iced glass of your favourite beverage and just press random buttons, and you'll be guaranteed to always have action around the outside. Francois Aldrini tries to make the move stick, he can't get it done, and has to settle back down for that second place. Moves it up the inside, so Francois Aldrini actually does take the lead then. Senni Larsson still trying to fight it out here. Here comes Cody Pride. This is the AM battle then. The 8-car battle for the lead. Have you ever heard something as ludicrous in your life? This is almost a replay of the start here, and we've got 3 wide going into turn 1. David, my little heart is loving all this.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Cody Pride going at the inside into the hairpin. He's got, who's that? Igor Kost just going around the outside. Harry Wills just in behind as well as they go into the Mercedes arena for the second time. Jonas Dreyer still trying to make his way around Chris Danes. He's still not managed it as they come back out towards the back end of the Mercedes arena. It's going to be inside for this one, outside for the next one. But Dreyer has just about made it stick. Can he hold on to it? He goes a little bit wide, but he's managed to make the move, and that puts him into the front of the grid on that Pro-Am class. For how long though? Because this is ludicrous stuff. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, we did think, and I think it was reasonable to think, David, with the way that Nordschleife is, it's a difficult enough task to take on your own, let alone with other cars. Simon Underhill there. Again, it's such a strange thing to see because you're used to seeing, these cars have got a fair bit of downforce on them, but yeah, that's obviously very, very unfortunate for Simon Underhill. So that is why he went all the way to the back of the pack there. He's in pit lane as well then. And quite honestly, if you do have to get towed back to the pits, that's pretty much your race over, isn't it, David? Because, I mean, you're looking at, 6 minutes or so to get towed back to the pits. Then you've got repairs as well. And
yeah,
Benjamin
absolutely.
Blanche goes flying down as well. Benjamin Blanche out of the pro class, and he is possibly going to be in the pits. And this is why.
Yeah, just caught the curb on the outside of the right-hander there, coming up past the Schumacher S's, and then just wasn't able to hold on to the car as a result. This is Dan Gilding putting Thomas under pressure. Thomas Verm Jr. under pressure from Dan Gilding. But just going back to what you were saying there, like you say, it's a long tow, but because there's a slightly fewer amount of drivers in this race, even 32 in total, it does mean there's still a chance of points. So it remains to be seen whether any of these guys will elect to come back out. This is Jonas Dreyer coming into the Nordschleife, just comes through the chicane at the back of the GP circuit, and again just loses it all on his own, and big old bump into the Arncourt on the inside there. Did all the hard work getting into first place in class, then right back down as a result of that little spin.
Unbelievable stuff. So Jonas Dreyer was in the lead of the Pro-Am class there, goes to the back of the Pro-Am class then because of that. Vince Peters now somehow up into 4th place, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But look at Nick Maidson then, side by side, as Vince Peters thinks about having a look up here, and he is looking very, very racy indeed. Keeps it going down on the run down through the foxhole here. Wonderful part of the circuit. It's flat out, it's a left, then a right, then a left again, and again you barely even blink at this. It's brilliant on board here. Here's Vince Peterson. This is one of my favourite bits. You want to scoop over the left hand side, a little bit of curbing that you can use, then you're going to trail brake all the way around this right here and then pull into the left hander, and you've got another right hander just straight on the accelerator as early as you can without over rotating the rear of the car, and then it's full acceleration on the run down towards this next tight left hander here. Again, it's a little bit of a dab on the brakes as late as you can, pull the car in, and then again a tighter left-hander. This is where all the time is that was Nick Maidson somehow saving the monster of a slide, and this is where Vince Peters is going to lose a lot of time here. He has got so much confidence and so much pace in that car tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, goodness me, Code Brown or what from Nick Madsen there. How did he even keep that from going to the wall? We know what it's like on the grass, didn't he? Sims, there's always a big bit of contact there. That's Jason Dilworth. I mean, it's pretty much the entirety of the top 4 in the AM class. It was Thomas Verm Jr., Dan Gilding, Jason Dilworth, and someone else. I didn't quite catch exactly who the other one was, but big old coming together between them there. Look at that. It's one of them. Dan Gilding at the moment at that time was a passenger, wasn't he? There's really nothing he could do, unfortunately, for him.
Well, that happened. So, to be honest, I was expecting that to happen an awful lot more. But what I'm more impressed with is Nick Madsen really able to keep Vince Peters behind him, and he's doing a really good job of it as well. And this is causing some extra issues now because Bastian Maidler is looking very, very interested in this fight as well. Because Bastian was about 2.5 seconds off. We've got another incident for Jason Dilworth. He's now going to be heading back to the pits very, very shortly. But watching his battle here with Vince Peters, is he going to try and fire a move up the inside here? I don't think he can, because it's all going to be on Nick Maidson here. Tries to force the move though. That is very, very brave stuff there from Vince Peters. He's going to have to get the room now. It's all going to be on whether Nick Maidson can keep his nose in. He can, gets the late brakes, pulls the car in, and here comes Bastian Maidler to try and make the move. Bastian could actually take this as well. Oh my goodness me.
Oh my word, how have they not come together during that? That is unbelievable. I mean, check out the bravery. Firstly from Vince Peters to try and make that move. He got such a good run out of the corner up the hill towards this section, towards the final section of the track. Somehow managed to make the move, and then, like you say, Madsen gave him the space and went back and went, no, thank you very much, I'll take that back, and carried on. And Mattler goes, right, yeah, I'll make 3 of this. Unbelievable stuff. And I'm looking at the relative on the Pro-Am class, and they're just as close as well. I don't know what to keep an eye on.
Yeah, well, here we go then. Dan Gilding, this is a replay of his earlier issue. I think, yeah, the car's crabbing. He's going to end up pulling in. That is such a difficult corner. I'm glad we cut away, because that is a horrible, horrible accident just waiting to happen. Let's see if we can, yep, there we go. We're into the Pro-Am class, as you were saying, David. And we've got, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars within about 3 seconds of each other here. This is not looking good. I get the feelings something very, very bad is going to happen here, David.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the entire Pro-Am class, because you can see Jonas Dreyer at the bottom of the relative is actually back in the pit lane and out of the race. So I'm not sure what happened to him. I don't know whether we missed that, because Stuart Reynolds, in fact, yeah, just to keep us all up to speed, including myself as well, Stuart Reynolds has taken the lead of the Pro-Am class. Chris Daines, as you can see, still still sitting in second, so he lost the lead to Jonas Dreyer and then has now lost to Stuart Reynolds, Cody Pride and Harry Wills in behind. A little small gap back to Dan Sedgley now. Is this going to be, this is the move from Stuart Reynolds again, going up the hill, same as what Vince Peters did, but looks like Chris Daines didn't have the speed differential to get the move back off of him, and really nice clean stuff from the two of them.
It's absolutely fascinating stuff to watch right now. Vince Peters still in fourth place, still behind Nick Madsen, and still about 10 seconds off of the lead right now. Fascinating battle that we've got going on here. And just watching Dan Kell trying to hold on to that place there from Laurent Benzo with, I believe that's Arias Humantis, despite that earlier incident just behind him here. They're actually not too far off that battle there, because you can see Vince Peters just about 3 seconds up the road here. Here is the battle for the lead, though. It's going to be Senni Lassens, though, that is in the lead of this race, and it's going to be Francois Aldrini still trying to take this position.
Yeah, absolutely. We were talking about bumping a little bit before the broadcast started, weren't we? And that is definitely what is happening here. Aldrini, very, very happy to sit in the wheel tracks of that number 4 Red Hat racing machine of Senna Lansons. They come down towards the back end of the circuit, under braking. See that gap just starts to form. It's a really odd one, isn't it? Because you don't normally expect that to happen, but Aldrini just backing off and giving himself a little bit of breathing room, and he'll start the battle once more. On the other side of the coin, though, Vince Peters making the move on Nick Madsen. Didn't quite see that, but going into the same braking zone, manages to make the move and get it done. Peters is now going to have to focus and try and bridge that 10-second gap up to the top 2.
Yeah, he certainly is. So this is awesome stuff. But you don't doubt that he's going to be capable of doing it, do you? Vince Peters certainly does have the ability and does have the skill, and God knows how he was able to make that work.
Yeah, it's just I've stopped trying to wonder how he manages to do all of this. Here's Simon Underhill going through. I think that's about the middle part of the track. He's going to lose it on the exit. Oh, I thought he held it there, but no, into the wall. I'm surprised that Porsche is still going. It looks very, very battered and bruised, as do a few of them. As Laurent Benzo, he pits for the first time in the pro class. Of course, 2 mandatory pit stops here in the class. Dean Timms tried to make the move on Thomas Verne Jr. Looks like he has. I mean, again, that's a slightly battered and bruised car that Thomas Verne Jr. is driving at the moment, because he has been usurped quite comfortably by the Porsche of Dean Timms. Senna Lansons still managing to hold off Francois Aldrini at the start of this, but Vince Peters has already gained a couple of tenths in the GP circuit alone. So whilst these two continue to battle, as Aldrini makes the move, interesting stuff there. It looked like Lanson's backed out of it a little bit.
I think he did. I'm wondering if he's just wanting to wait in the tyre tracks of Francois Aldrini, as we see Laurent Benzo heading off to pit lane there. But also, have a look at Nick Madsen. I was expecting the pace of Peters to kind of show him dropping off, but we've seen this by Peters before. We've seen strategy come into the play, maybe try to save his tyres, maybe try to save a little bit of fuel. That could be what's going on here, because essentially Nick Madsen has just got himself almost past. We'll see if it can do it, because I think Peters is going to have the inside line, for the chicane there. But yeah, very, very unusual to see Nick Madsen so fast compared to Vince Peters here.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing you can think, I mean, we know how quick Vince Peters normally is. They come into the Nordschleife for the 3rd time. Now look how close they are, going through the first corner and down.
Sorry, what? Did Nick Madsen just actually drive around the outside of Vince Peters on the entry to the Nordschleife? Is that what we just saw there?
I think we've seen everything now, haven't we? This is unbelievable.
Goodness me, honestly, that was outrageous. The ability for Nick Madsen to get that done, that was a brilliant move. And you've got to say, for Vince Peters to make that happen as well. Yeah, that was awesome stuff. Just gets the superior drive out of the corner there and gets it going as well. So yeah, brilliant stuff to see. But we are 20 minutes into a 75-minute race. This is going to be, what's that now, lap 2 that we've on just now. And Francois Aldrini then ahead of Senni Larsson. Starting to open up a bit of a gap there, as we see Nick Madsen still ahead of Vince Peters. And I'm a little bit confused by this, because while it did look like Vince Peters was, a little bit slower, you'd think that he was wanting to get the hammer down, try to get that 10-second gap down.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say a minute ago. You'd like to say he seems to have the pace. That's Stuart Reynolds going slowly up through the top of the hill, letting I'm not really sure what happened there. It looked like he was going very slow for some reason. Not entirely sure why. Leaving him, losing position in the process. But yeah, it looks like Peter, hasn't. Does he have the pace? Is he being strategic? It remains to be seen. But he's sitting right on the wheel, on the back end of Nick Madsen once more. Bastian Matler sitting in behind Ari Schumantis, Dan Kell and Laurent Benso a little bit further adrift as well. But that gap is increasing despite the fact Aldrini and Lanson are continuing to fight.
That is not a place you want to have an accident. Harry Wills having the horrible misfortune of having a huge accident. And that is going to be at the Kindelbacher Hall. And I cannot believe that that's not actually already happened, given that, we saw the air earlier on, didn't we, David, where the front wheels of the cars are actually lifting off the ground, such as the raw speed that they have there.
Yeah, absolutely. The front splitter's not pulling it down as much as it would normally do. Here's Dean Timms going into that same area a little bit earlier on in the straight. Fortunately, doesn't manage to tap a wall in the process. He's managed to avoid any damage, it seems, so we can carry on with a bit of a battered and bruised ego. Not the car, though, fortunately for him. And Madsen still manages to hold off from Vince Peters. Igor Kost trying to make the move on Chris Danes. Cody Pride's got himself up into second place. He's trying to put some pressure on Stuart Reynolds above, and this is a gap that he started to form because Chris Danes is under an immense amount of pressure from Igor Kost, from Dan Sedgley, and from Martin, who is rounding out the top 6 of the Pro-Am class. You can see Harry Wills into the pit lane. Jaime Fierro looks like he's back out on track. There's no pit against his name. I know he would retire. He got towed back to the pit a little bit earlier, so it looks like he might well be back into the race.
Yeah, I think that could very well be. We'll certainly see. Looks like we've lost John Williams, who's had a bit of a mischief. Dan Kell again ends up into pit lane. We saw him trying to recover that broken car, and here comes Nick Mates, and then again with Vince Peters trying to go round the outside, trying to return the favour, and Vince Peters is cool and as calm as you like, gets the move done where it really matters. When Nick Mason again immediately on the attack again. This is sensational stuff here in the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup Series. Nick Mason trying his very best to hold on to this, and the clever brain would say keep with him through the carousel, get to that back straight, get to the Dottinger straight, and then just absolutely nail him on the toe.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty much a role reversal of what we saw on the last lap, wasn't it? Instead of it being left and right for Peters and Madsen, it was the complete polar opposite. Chris Danes has been overtaken by Igor Kost, but he's pushing him up the hill, as you can see there. Dan Sedgley backing in for the fight as well. He's done a fantastic job getting himself up 5 positions from the back of the Pro-Am class grid already. They come up towards the carousel as well, and that gap is starting to form. Igor Kost now 5 seconds behind Cody Pride, who's 0.2 of a second behind Stuart Reynolds. As a result, you just see them going into the carousel at the background of your shot there. As these guys continue to fight, it really gives Reynolds and Pride that chance to really start to open up a gap. There you can see Igor Kost round the outside. Goodness me, wheel on the grass for your troubles as well. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later. What a move that is to get past that beautiful 7-Up livery car, but somehow managed to make it stick as he goes sideways again. This is stupid. How are these guys still going?
I've got no idea whatsoever. You've got dust in the background. That means that there's going to be a car off in the background, and we'll see exactly who it was. Tell me it wasn't Cody Pride. Oh no, onto the grass, and that's exactly who it was, going very wide. Cody Pride still in second place in the Pro-Am class right now, but just being the word, because he's now got Igor Kost, Chris Danes and Dan Sedgley hot on his tails. This is Francois Aldrini now in the lead, and still just ahead of Senny Lassens here. This is going to be coming up then towards the final couple of corners. Indeed it is. So this is down into Schwabenschwanz, and then they've got the 2 right-handers here, and then it is on to the back straight. So this is Galgenkopf that they're coming up to just now, a long right-hander, and then again you basically just flat out, if you can pick the right entry line. Now this is where it's important for Senny Lansons, because he needs to get in behind that car of Francois Aldrini. I think he's got it. You watch that relative come down 5.57, 0.56, 0.54. Here we go. It starts off slow, and then it gets very quick indeed, David, and this is going to be very fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at it disappearing. He's gained 0.3 of a second on the back straight alone, and they're not even, well, they're about 2/3 of the way down now, coming up to 3/4, nearly finished, but he's now down to less than 0.2. He's 1/10 of a second back. Is he going to make a move into the final couple of corners? You would think not at this early stage of the race. We're still only 25 minutes in. It remains to be seen whether either of these two drivers will pit on this lap or whether they will carry on for one more. We saw Aldrini on the last lap almost bump drafting Lanson's down the back straight, but again they carry on for one more lap. You'll think they are running on fumes at this point, and if they've got a spotter in their ear, they'll be telling them, right, this is the last possible lap. As you can see there, Aldrini sets the fastest lap as Nick Madsen elects to fall into the pit lane.
Yeah, that's a clever move there from Nick Madsen there, trying to roll the dice and see if he can get that one going. We're not seeing any mad, tow trains coming down the Dottinger Straight here, but I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with Nick Madsen as he goes into to pit lane there. So we'll keep an eye on this. But this is the Pro-Am battle. Then you can see Cody Pride ahead of Igor Kos, ahead of Chris Daines, and then Dan Sedgley in the mix as well. Are any of these guys going to go into pit lane? I think not. I think actually it's the only taker we've had has been, I tell a lie, Stuart Reynolds into the pits then from the Pro-Am class. So he joins Nick Madsen. In fact, Stuart Reynolds, wasn't he? He was leading the Pro-Am class, so that puts Cody Pride into lead. Where's Cody Pride going? That's turn one. That's a right-hander, lad. You don't just go straight on. So he's immediately handed over the lead to Igor Costa, David. That is, I'm not sure, really.
No, not really too sure. I mean, obviously, look, we know he hit the wall on the back end of the Nordschleife, so he might have a little bit of damage, might have made the braking zone a little bit more difficult, but yeah, just didn't really seem to go the right way. It's probably the best way of explaining it. I don't think there's any other way to explain it, to be completely honest. He's lost a position. He's given up, as I said, he's yielded the lead of the class race to Igor Kos. He's going to try and start to make a bit of a move, but these four are your top four in class. It's Igor Kos, Cody Pride, Chris Daines, and Dan Sedgley. This is Nick Madsen, who's come out just behind them, I think. Yeah, you can see he's just sitting in behind them, so that's not really going to benefit him too much. These guys are battling. He wants a nice bit of clear track. He's not going to get that, and that's going to have a big impact on whether he can make that move on Vince Peters when Vince eventually comes in for his stop, which you'd imagine will be at the end of this upcoming, and I believe now fourth lap of the race.
Well, I can't believe how busy this pit cycle is going to be, because if you think about it, all of the cars are going to be into the pits at the end of this lap here. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting one. But Igor Kos under huge pressure again from Cody Pride here, and Chris Daines, he's not as close as you'd think he would be, but Cody Pride definitely fancies this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw, obviously, Cody had that incident going into a little in the final sector of the lap on the last way round. Doesn't seem to have deterred any motivation for him to try and make the move as he goes into the Nordschleife again for the fourth time now. Just trying to look up the inside of Igor Kos. Doesn't manage to make it happen. They're going to go down the hill, down towards Hatzenbach and into the Nordschleife proper now. Look at that sunset in there. That's not going to be helping your visibility going through. He's just dropped off a little bit as a result of that, but he's keeping going on the ragged edge. First to proper braking zone, into the left, into the right. Got to avoid some of the curves, but hit some of the other ones. It's a bit difficult, but once you get it, you are absolutely golden. He's sitting right on the back, and like you said, David, Chris Daines, he's keeping up to an extent, but it looks like he is slowly but surely just dropping back down that field a little bit.
Yeah, he really is. And this is the thing as well, is that over the course of the Nordschleife, it's such a long circuit here, isn't it? That anywhere over that 25 kilometres, you could easily lose a second, as we see Francois Aldrini. I'm really impressed with Sidney Lansons in how well he's been able to stick with Francois Aldrini and give that pressure as well. The question we had, though, was Vince Peters. Was he going to catch up? The answer is yes, he is, but not anywhere near as fast as I think he would like.
No, absolutely. It seems like he was really benefiting from being able to follow Nick Madsen around a couple of laps ago, and like you say, he's making a dent, but nothing major as well. Francois Aldrini takes a big old lump of curb going down at the hill, down towards the middle part of the circuit. Really interesting to see, managing to hold on to it. You've got that fiddly braking zone down into the left-hander again, double apex, you can see, hits it on a knife edge, hits it perfectly as you'd like. But yeah, Aldrini doing a really good job. And like you said, Lanson's doing a fantastic job as well. Of course, he's only scored in 3 races so far this season. So he's certainly doing a job of getting himself back up the order. He's 14th in the championship, which means at the moment, most of the time, it starts at this pointy end of the grid. And for once in this occasion, he's managing to hold on to it and doing a fantastic job of keeping the Monaco Esports driver very, very uncomfortable indeed.
And that's exactly it. He's doing a fantastic job of doing that there with just 0.3 of a second between him and Aldrini. But back to Nick Maidson then. After his pit stop, looks to be behind. And where is he? He's behind Dan Sedgley right now. Now, again, unlike other class racing, these are all still the same machines. They're all still the same power. So he's not going to be affected too much in terms of the track position and things like that. But what I do wonder is the likes of Vince Peters, because when he comes out, he's going to be behind a lot of traffic, I would imagine, as some cars try and eke it out, or maybe they've already pitted here. So it's going to be so curious to see how they actually manage this one. But Francois Aldrini, yeah, I don't fancy being in his car right now with Senni Lanson's behind him, and how wide that thing is as Nick Maidson just fires it up inside there, gets the move done on Dan Sedgley, as cool, calm and collected as you like there.
Yeah, really nice move from Madsen there. And I'm just looking at the delta time, or the last lap times between Vince Peters and this group of cars. So the top 4 in the prime class, Vince Peters was nearly 8 seconds quicker on that final tour, obviously courtesy of these guys having their battles that they have been having over the last lap or so. You can, I mean, look at them. There's half a second between the top 3. Chris Daines has actually managed to gap Dan Sedgley slightly. Of course, he's been battling with Madsen slightly to kind of attribute to that as well. But Aldrini still, as they go into the final sector of the lap, on lap number 4, you'd assume they're both going to be pitting on this lap. You can't imagine they're going to tweak those tanks any further than they are at the moment, still under an immense amount of pressure from Eric Lanson's, but Vince Peters is now 7.7 seconds behind them, so he's starting to bridge that gap. He is starting to close these guys down. Yeah,
I didn't want to actually pick up on that, but I don't think we've got a choice, because that's been three seconds that he's taken off of that lead right now, and I've got no doubt that it's pretty much all down to the fact that Senni Lansons is harassing Francois Aldrini, but Vince Peters having a little bit of a mistake there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's lost half a second there, and then just gained it straight away just by being super aggressive through the back end of the circuit. But he got very, very lucky, didn't he? Francois Aldrini, does he go a little bit wide? He does. Just about manages to hold on. Again, look at the speed. They're doing upwards of 100 mile an hour through those right-handers. Full chat, and somehow manages to hold on to it. And look, that gap is continuing to close. And he's actually, to an extent, bringing Bastian Mattler with him, because that gap between 3rd and 4th is staying roughly around that 4-second mark.
This is a very curious little battle that we've got there, and up the inside then goes Senni Lansons, and almost as if Francois Aldrini this time said, right, okay, well, you do that. Now wait a minute, do you think Francois Aldrini is trying to manage his fuel there, as we see Dan Gilding around the inside? And that's a very, very unusual place to see a car going off, but Dan Gilding thankfully not making any contact with the barriers. And look at how quickly Senni Lansons is dropping Francois Aldrini here. Considerably. Surely that's got to be fuel.
I was going to say, has he run out of fuel at any point? There's Nick Madsen going up the inside of Chris Daines. He's made another move as they come towards the second of the carousels. So he's up into, well, he's still in 6th, but he's past 2 of the 4 pram drivers he needed to get past. That has got to be fuel saving from Francois Aldrini. I don't know whether those the details on the dashboard are correct, but it looks to me like he's got absolutely no fuel, which is a little bit weird because he still managed to go for the gears. But as you can see, as was probably expected, both him and Senni Lansons come into the pits, as does Vince Peters. Will Bastian Mattler follow suit? And interestingly, where will Nick Madsen come out in the shape of this?
Alright, that was a panic there, David. Did you see the rate of knots that Vince Peters came into pit lane with? And it's just praying that he doesn't get himself a pit lane penalty. 8:33.7 for Vince Peters, and the rest of them doing 8:40s. Goodness me, that is some pace there from Vince Peters. But here comes Nick Maidson. This is what it's all about here. Bastian Mattler gets into the pits as well. Francois Aldrini does the jump, so he does a short stop. So Francois Aldrini takes the lead of this race right now, and that puts him considerably ahead. And Nick Maidsen has been absolutely jumped, because out goes Senny Lansons, out goes Vince Peters, out goes Bastian Mattler. Let's see how far of a lead they've got. I think they are going to be considerably ahead there. And yep, so Nick Maidsen has been kind of left for dead in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at the pit stop times as well. You can see Vince Peters was only 3 seconds quicker in the pit stop phase than Nick Madsen was, but he's gained at least he's gained 5 seconds in that. So he's gained a couple of seconds on the out laps and in laps as well. It looked like Madsen might have pulled something out of his sleeve in terms of a real kind of master strategy, but it hasn't pulled off because, like you say, he just got caught up in that Pro-Am class, lost all that time, and now he's back and he has to try and make that gap all over again.
Yeah, for sure. As we go into almost 36 minutes of this round 5 here of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup EU here at the Nordschleife. And a huge thank you, as always, to our commercial partners who make this happen. Race Anywhere, to Sim3D, to World Series Leagues, and to Go for the Gap as well. But David, I mean, it's been a breathtaking almost first half of the race. We're about 10 minutes away from hit that halfway point here. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting chaos and bumps and bruises. And yes, we've lost a good number of cars from the back of the field. We've lost about, 7 cars. But it's not been the quiet affair that we thought it was going to be.
No, absolutely. We've, I remember saying right at the top of the broadcast that I personally, I won't say you did as well because I said it, not you, but I thought it was going to be very difficult for these guys to make any real overtaking manoeuvres. They've certainly proven us wrong throughout the race so far, and if we get another 40 minutes of that in the rest of this race, I think we'll be in for an absolute barnstormer. You can see here Vince Peters has got Bastian Mattler closer than he was before. He gained 6 seconds in that pit stop phase on the lap just gone, 10 seconds to 60 or nearly 17 for Vince Peters. And you can see Eric Benson there in the AM class hasn't really had much of a chance to be on the screen this evening because he's pretty much just disappeared off and kind of run his own race. He's got nearly a half a minute gap to Chris Chatterton and then another half a minute back to Thomas Verm Jr. So he's looking rather comfortable indeed at the head of that AM class at the moment.
Yeah, certainly is. But we're nearly at 40 minutes, as we said, as we look back to Vince Peters now, who is very, very happy. He will be delighted with that because he's made up some good time over Senny Lansons now, because he's just 1.7 seconds there. I think Francois Aldrini and Vince Peters have got similar ideas in terms of strategy, maybe short fueling certainly this stop by a couple of seconds or so, just to try and get out earlier, and that would explain why Francois Aldrini gets a jump considerably, not just a little bit, but by 6 seconds over Senny Lansons, given that Senny actually overtook Francois coming into pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw, obviously, Aldrini was really kind of backing off down the back straight, wasn't he? Just trying to save every little ounce of fuel that he had left. I don't think he had too much, to be completely fair to him. Jumentis, you can see, is sitting at the back of the Pro Class. Unfortunately, he's the last of the running cars in the Pro Class. I don't think that is a Pro Class driver ahead of him on track. Can't quite catch exactly who that is, but it's certainly not someone in class with him. And he's starting to, he struggled a little bit, obviously. Lost a couple of positions here and there. Is Dean Timms. That really tells you how much time Jumentis has lost with the incidents he's been involved in, most of which, unfortunately for him, have kind of been, pretty much been a fault of his own.
The harsh words, ladies and gentlemen, of David Dressel there. Nobody is spared his judgment, but Arias Jumentis gets straight past there and on the charge down. Again, it's damage limitation at this point. It's still in the lead of the Pro-Am. Stuart Reynolds from Cody Pride, Chris Daines, and then in the AM class, Eric Benson in a class of his own. He is about, 28 seconds ahead of Chris Chatterton and Thomas Verm as well. So it looks very comfortable for Eric Benson in the AM class. We haven't really seen much of him tonight, but maybe that says more of how well he's been driving here. But I'm also looking at Vince Peters back up at that Pro Class, and I'm seeing that he's not making the huge indents that I thought he was. So maybe with this heavy fuel load catching on to the back of Senny Lansons here, not able to make the move as quickly as he'd like here, as we see Chris Daines from that Pro-Am class. Wow, that is not how you want to do it. That is a rapid stop there.
That didn't even show any signs of slowing down at all. It just went from 100 to 0 pretty much instantly, didn't it? Cody Pride doing pretty much exactly the same. Hits the Armco instead of the tyre wall and manages to keep rolling on as a result. I was actually going to talk about Cody Pride there and say he's done well despite the damage to continue the gap as he is. In fact, now he's actually lost 3 seconds and is now under fire from Dan Sedgley and Igor Kos as a result. And this is the closest battle we've got on the track at the moment. You've got Igor Kos chasing Dan Sedgley, who's chasing Cody Pride, who is a walking wounded at the moment. He's 10 seconds adrift now of Stuart Reynolds, who leads the Pro-Am class as they come down towards one of the lower parts of the circuit. Going to try and get some form of momentum going up the top of the hill. This is Chris Daines again losing the back end. Just about. He manages to keep it from going into the wall, but a very difficult lap for the number 7 car. Unfortunate for him, been caught up in a couple of instances there and has really slowed his purpose down on the track.
Yes, so Igor Kos going side by side then with Dan Sedgley. This doesn't look like it's going to end all that well, but we'll certainly find out. The two of them go side by side. They've got Cody Pride just up in front, and like candy from a baby, Igor Kos takes that 3rd position in the Pro-Am class then here at the Nordschleife and has his sights set firmly on Cody Pride just up the road here. This is the run up the hill then after the right-hander is the very, very, very famous corner on the circuit, one of the most famous corners on the circuit, that long sweeping bank left-hander at the carousel. So they're away through there just now. Senny Lansons, meanwhile, has got the immovable object that is Vince Peters right behind him. That's not somebody you want to have in your rear view mirrors at the halfway point in the race, is it? You're looking for a quiet day out of the races, you're enjoying the beautiful German countryside, and you've got Vince Peters in your mirror, and you just stick on the indicator and move over.
Absolutely. You either do that or you try your best to make that Porsche Cup car as wide as physically possible and see how long you can hold him off for. However, there's a big long straight coming up in a few corners time, Senna, so if you're going to do anything, I'd let him through before then and see if you can get him back before the end of the lap. But it remains to be seen. They're coming towards the final carousel just now. Yeah, you can just see that banked corner as they come into the final real corner on the circuit, the Galgenkopf, as they go on to the back straight. He's not done what I told him to do, and he's carried on in 2nd place, which means that Vince Peters is going to have an easy job, you would think, of making the move. He's within 2.5 tenths before they even get onto the main straight, and you can see how quickly he forms that. That gap just disappears, jumps out to the left-hand side, the right-hand side on his angle, goes a little bit further to the right. Is that just to maybe make it a little bit more careful than he needs to? And gets the move done with relative comfort. And you can see there, very sensibly, Senna Lansons just jumps right into the wheel tracks of that 45 Porsche and will continue down the hill towards the back end of the 4th lap of this race, and will try to see if he can stick with the championship leader and start to put some pressure on himself.
That was some heart and mouth moments there for Vince Peters and Senny Lansons. It's a difficult corner, that last right-hander at Galgenkopf, because you really, really want to make sure that you get slowed down. Sorry, at Nordkær, because you want to make sure you get slowed down, and if you even think that the brakes are going to lock up, you are in big, big trouble. Bastian Mittler into the pit lane. And now, curiously, is that his last stop then that he's going to be doing? He's already done 1 stop already, and he's into the pit stop. And I was going to say Vince Peters running off track there, but that's just running wide at the runoff area there. So, yeah, Bastian Mittler in for a 2nd pit stop of the day. Now, that's curious because that's very, very early. Is he looking to try and get the jump on everyone as we see Igor Kos? And is that Cody Pride that he's just taking the place away from there?
It is indeed, yeah. Like you say, coming through the Nordkær into the last couple of corners of the lap, makes the move, just utilises that inordinate amount of slipstream you get down the back straight, and gets the move done on the walking wounded Cody Pride. He's dropping down. As a result, Dan Sedgley still close up behind. Chris Daines has dropped a mighty way back, 25 seconds behind these guys now. Really, really unfortunate lap for him. As you can see, Igor Kos covers the inside. Cody Pride tries to go round the outside in that full send racing machine. Can he make the move stick? He can't. He stays round the outside. He's going to have to back into it, into the Mercedes arena. and he, of course, it can consider that move done. But let's carry on and let's see if we can close up to Stuart Reynolds, who's currently leading the class. Meanwhile, Arius Humantis is sitting in the wheel tracks of Thomas Verm Jr., I believe that, as they come onto the back straight. Really, really good exit from the Galgenkopf there, and he's going to have the move pretty much done before they even get past the old school timing tower on the Taurus version of the track.
Well, that's a lovely day at the races, isn't it? Goodness me, Arius Humantis then gets that done as we move to a replay. Then this is Jason Dilworth. A very, very difficult corner that is, because so easy to do. Keeps the foot on the brake, just about gets away with it, but sort of doesn't as well. It's not the best, but again, just that left-hander is so difficult to deal with at Verseifen, and then on to Ausfahrt Breitscheid. The two left-handers there, where you're running downhill, and then you've got to brake, and then you've got to tilt the car in. It's so easy to get that very, very wrong. Chris Staines into pit lane as well then just now. I'm looking at the lead of this race. Francois Aldrini still in the lead. I'm looking at Vince Peters now up into second place there. But he's not gaining it. He's not getting that time down as quickly as I thought he would be, especially with that last lap being about 4 seconds slower than Francois Aldrini.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, still 7.8 seconds to good. Of course, you can contribute a part of that difference in lap time to the difference in pit stop time, can't you? But interestingly, I've just looked at the timing chart myself, and I can see that Francois Aldrini's fastest lap was also his last lap, which was an 8:59.23. I can only assume that's not entirely correct, and he's probably had a couple of off tracks which invalidated the laps at that point. You can see Nick Madsen, Nick Madsen 8:31.1. I think that's the fastest lap of the race so far. I think I did see that come up in purple on the screen a few moments ago. So he's starting to, he's looking to see if he can close down the gap, because Stellan Andersson is still, credit to him, putting Vince Peters under a bit of pressure, isn't he?
He really is, and like I say, I mean, he's definitely in the fight here, as we see right onto the back. This is going to be very, very important for them to do. Look at Corey Pride, though, still fancying big cost. Oh, not like that, son, not like that. Goodness me, but he keeps it on and keeps going with it, and that is unbelievable. Just seen Chat and Ryan Hamilton with devastating news. 30-minute of optional repairs, David. I think that's probably time to go and stick on the pot noodle.
Absolutely. Well, you're considering there's 28 minutes left of the race. I don't think he'll be getting back out anytime soon. He might get lucky. Depends on when Francois Aldrini or whoever's in the lead in 28 minutes time crosses the lap, because of course it won't be the race just finishes at 1:15. They'll have to finish the lap they're on as well. So he could potentially get away with it, but maybe he needs to, shame he can't use that fast repair at this point, and see if he can get back out a little bit earlier. Cody Pride, though, he may be a little bit sheepish after that little almost coming together through the floodplats a few moments ago. He's just backed off a little bit and made himself a little bit susceptible to Dan Sedgley in behind. But they're also closing on Stuart Reynolds, not by the quickest of margins, but they have got that down within half a second since the start of this lap. So they are starting, if they can continue doing what they're doing, to really kind of close that gap a little bit more. Jaime Fierro going for the carousel. Oh, goodness me. Not how you go through that, in case you've never seen it before. You meant to stay on the down low bit. He went, but you saw what happened there. Don't need me to explain it, do you?
I'm just trying to think. I mean, the Porsches are renowned for being these sleek, beautiful, modern, contemporary. Oh my goodness, is Corey Pride absolutely hammering it like it's a... I was going to say like it's a Vauxhall Nova, but we'll maybe not use that analogy there. I was going to say that these are refined, wonderful sports machines, and Jim Fierro just tried to do his best turning it into a toaster, essentially, hitting it into the wall at that speed. But I tell you what, Cody Pride definitely has no fear here.
No, absolutely, he is not holding back. And as I said it a little bit earlier, so I think we're on an onboard in the first part of the lap. There are some curves on this circuit that you avoid like the plague, and there's some that you go over. He just doesn't care about any of them, does he? He will go, there's a curb there, I don't care how tall it is on the inside, whether it's a metre or nothing, I am going over it whether you like it or not, and we'll just kind of see how it ends up. Look at him sideways coming onto one of the backstreets up the hill. It's all about momentum. I said it earlier coming out this corner. That's not going to help you if you're pointing your wheel in the wrong direction coming onto one of the faster parts of the circuit, but still using that slipstream. You can see the relative, it's starting to close down a bit, 3.5 tenths, starting to increase a little bit, weirdly enough, but still keeping close enough to keep Igor Kos under that significant pressure that could potentially force him into a little mistake if he needs to.
Yeah, through the left-hander at boot curve then, the car just rising up through and then into Klostertal, that right-hander. So easy to get that wrong actually, and then that leaves you really struggling to get round this right-hander here, but Cody Pride in the pound seats right now. This is where his knowledge of the Nordschleife is really coming to the forefront, and I'm going to say about the lines that he's taken. Has a little look to try and put Igor Kos off there into the carousel then. You want to keep as tight as you can, and that's a bad exit from Igor Kos, loses him about a tenth of a second there. You can see how much faster Cody Pride is out that corner, and believe it or not, this left-hander here you can keep absolutely flat. It's then up through this left-right jink and onto the brakes then as they come down into Wipperman here, and then on the run down into Eschbach. But I'm really impressed with how these drivers have been handling this race so far, and what has happened to Vince Peters. He's actually dropping away now, 7.7 seconds. That gap was 7.1 to Francois Aldrini. I wonder if there's a little bit of fuel saving going on here from Vince Peters, because Aldrini and Peters came in at the same time, and we know how fast Vince Peters is, but he's just not able to do anything. Chris Staines again onto the replay here, and this is going to be a very slow spin if it is for Chris Staines. Yeah, let's cut away from that one very quickly, try and save him a little bit of pride on that. But Vince Peters now 7.1 seconds, and he's on the straight, and he's dropping back right now, but back with the battle line for Pro-Am then. It's Igor Kos from Cody Pride, and then you've got Dan Sedgley trying to catch up to the back as well, and Cody Pride still trying to just throw that car around to within an inch of its life, trying to use every single bit of traction that's got. And I tell you what, full send could not be more appropriate on the livery of that car.
Absolutely, he is putting 100% in. Like you said a minute ago, he clearly knows how his way around this circuit. You can tell he's driven it, whether it's been in a sim or in real life. One of those many people who have been able to do so, with a privileged selection of people. As Igor Kos goes very wide out the second carousel, and that is the move done. Simple as you like. It might have been orchestrated, it might not have been, but he's made the move. And look at that, Vince Peters. We talked about him going a little bit slower. He's then just pumped in an 8:29.27. Fastest lap. It's not been registered as such, only presumably because he's invalidated that at one point, and Francois Aldrini and Senna Lansons both come into pit lane.
Well, this is starting to get a little bit interesting here. Nick Maidson might be able to undo some of that damage with that longer pit stop, then goes into second place. Then Vince Peters takes the provisional lead of the race, but here comes Dan Sedgley on the back, and the number 15 of Cody Pride, as well as Igor Kos here. So Igor Kos now back ahead of Cody Pride, but look at Dan Sedgley. He fancies this. You get the impression he's thinking about making a move there, and Cody Pride thinks, no, you're not having any of it. Sending Lansons into the pits then, or rather leaving the pits, as we see Dan Sedgley going into the pits. Is it this time? No, he stays out this time. So interesting mix of strategy here.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering I personally thought there'd be really 2 or 3 laps in the entire race. We see Simon Underhill going in. Oh, loses it. Just that's at the start of the Nordschleife, I believe. Does he avoid the wall? He does, just about. Not that car could probably do with seeing a little bit less of the wall based on the status of it already. But I'm saying there's only really I thought there'd only really be 2, 3, maximum 4 laps in the entire race that these guys would be able to actually put a pit stop in for, just courtesy of the length of the track and obviously how much fuel they need to save. But it's really interesting to see the difference in strategies. Of course, like you say, Aldrini and Matla pitted on lap number 5 again. So interesting to see how this is going to play out. I absolutely have no idea at this stage, as I never do, no matter what's going on, to be completely fair, as to who's going to come out of this race in the lead of any of these classes.
Whereas me, I just don't tend to have a clue about anything any of the time, David. That's the difference. You're the slight advantage on that one. Laurent Benzo into pit lane then from 11th place, despite that earlier damage there. Thomas Verm Jr. in 4th position in the AM class machine. He is getting overtaken there by the 46. That's Dean Timms that has just made his way past right now. So again, we can't read too much into the positions right now. We're about 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away from getting some resolution here, because given that we've got another pit stop to do for at least 6 of the top 10, we're not going to know anything until all those are done, are we?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, you've got at least, well, put it this way, I would expect that there's what, 3 laps left of the race if my math serves me correctly, 2, 3 maximum. I would have thought they're either going to all have to pit on this lap or the next one. And if they do it on the next one, it's going to be very tight indeed. So remains to be seen exactly how this ends up falling out. You can see Vince Peters and Nick Madsen, the only 2 in the pro class at the top end. Jumantas, you can see in the pit lane as well. The only 2 have yet to stop for the second time. Cost, Pride and Sedgley all yet to pit. You see Steve Martin comes in for his pit stop in the Pro-Am class. You see Eric Benson, Chris Chatterton and John Williams all yet to serve their final mandatory pit stop as well. So plenty to still be shaken out, plenty to keep an eye on, and all the more reason, folks, for you to not go anywhere, because with 20 minutes left of this race, it is still all to play for in all 3 of the classes that we've got racing in this evening.
Right, so here's the question for you then, David. Vince Peters, we've seen this every single time almost. The fact that he's able to work his way from the back, no matter where we are, and gets it going. Do you think he can do it tonight? And also, how impressive is Cody Pride?
I mean, Cody, come to that first because he's on the screen at the moment. He is doing a fantastic job. I mean, look at how close. I mean, it's impressive enough to go full chat around the Nordschleife on your own, let alone within a 2/10 of a second of someone in front of you. And considering he's clearly going to be carrying some sort of damage as well, because we've seen him in the wall a couple of times. You can see this part of the aero on that front end of that Porsche not looking particularly pretty at the moment. He's doing a fantastic job, and I think at this moment in time, if he can continue the pace he's doing, he will win this class. However, like I say, we've still got plenty of time left to go, and all these things can change. One little dip of a wheel onto the grass and you can be in the wall within a moment's notice. So it still remains to be seen, but he is doing a fantastic job. Vince Peters, look, we know how quick he is. He's proven that time and time again so far this season. But if we look back to the last endurance race he had at the Red Bull Ring a couple of weeks ago, he didn't win that because he got done over by the strategy of Laurent Benzo. Now, Laurent Benzo's obviously not in the race at the top end this time round, but there's enough people around him that can give him that little bit of uncertainty, and that remains to be seen. He is a very quick driver, I can't get me wrong, but strategy has been his main downfall, if there's been any, so far this season, so it remains to be seen.
Well, we're not going to have too much longer to wait to find out what exactly is going to happen here, as we're watching Dan Sedgley trying to catch on to the back of that Senny Lansons that he's got in front of him, who is trying to get past Cody Pride as well as Igor Kos as well. So this is a 4-car battle, but only 3 cars actually fighting it out in class here just now. Somehow Senny Lansons has been thrown back to this little mix here, but of course these top 3 for the Pro-Ams, David, haven't been in the pits for the second time there, and right back across then Igor Kos cuts the nose off of Cody Pride, and Cody Pride actually ends up giving that position to Senny Lansons. Great to see that there, because they're not fighting for position in class, they're just fighting for position on the track here. But we come up to an hour done at the Nordschleife, and again, I take my hats off to these drivers. This has been an exemplary race right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have been in the wall after the first probably 3 or 4 corners on the GP circuit, let alone made it round nearly 7 laps of this gargantuan circuit that we're at this week. It's quite something that they're managing to do it. That is, you can see Vince B has returned into the 829 we saw on the last lap. I think, is he coming up through there? You can see that is Senny Lansons getting past Igor Kos. I wonder if Cody Pride was letting Lansons through to try and give him the chance of putting the pressure under Igor Kos when he went past him as well, but it hasn't quite worked out that way. It's just brought Dan Sedgley into the mix once more as well, and here is your race leader. Vince Peters still yet to make a pit stop. He has gained 2 seconds on Nick Madsen so far on this lap, so he's really starting to find his groove at the Nordschleife so far this evening. Dean Timms pressurising Thomas Verm Jr. as well in the AM class for that final spot on the podium.
You've got to say as well, Eric Benson, we've not really spoken much about him tonight, but classy drive. So far ahead of Chris Chatterton, 37.5 seconds, and that gap going up all the time right now. So yeah, a brilliant job here for Eric Benson down in the AM class as well. So we'll keep our eye on him and just make sure that that does keep going on. Now, I'm also seeing that Vince Peters will be on the Dottinger Straight now, so he will find out just now if he's going to be heading into the pit lane in the next couple of seconds here. But I would fully expect, in fact, all of the cars to be within into pit lane at the end of this lap, because especially given that Peters and Aldrini had a faster pit stop, that would make you think that maybe they took on less fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, I mean, subject to the Senni Lansons having a 47.5-second pit stop, that's why he's so far back. Let's just bear that in mind. Of course, he's now back into 5th place on track as well as being 5th place in class, but lost a lot of time in that final pit stop. Don't know whether he was carrying damage, didn't see anything happen to him, to the number 4 car, but a lot longer pit stop than we would have expected. I think you're looking maximum, if you're talking just fuel and potentially tyres, you're talking maximum 20 seconds. So clearly some sort of damage had there, which is unfortunate because, as we said a lot earlier in the race, he was doing a fantastic job of keeping very, very close to Francois Aldrini. You can see there Vince Peters does go into pit lane. Will Nick Madsen follow him in about 15 seconds time? Will remain to be seen, but that is your race leader into the pit lane. This is Nick Madsen. He is second on the road at the moment. It looks like he's peeling off to the right. He is indeed, and look at the pace he goes into pit lane with. These guys are and they're leaving nothing out on track, are they? It's ridiculous, the amount of confidence they've got.
It's fantastic to watch as well. So Francois Aldrini then is your provisional race leader then, because he has already done his second pit stop then, and Vince Peters comes out then. So let's see what's going to happen here, because Vince Peters and Francois Aldrini are going to be side by side coming out into the track, and there we go, there's Vince Peters then into the lead, and they're going to be side by side into turn 1. Huge drama for the finish of this race. We head into another, and Vince Peters is in the lead, but Francois Aldrini gets the power down, has the inside line, and we have got a fight going on for the final 15 minutes of the race. There's contact. Aldrini forces Peters out wide, and Aldrini gets the inside line then. So Aldrini is going to absolutely make Vince Peters work for this just now, and this is not the first time we've seen these two together on track, and it's not the first time we've seen paint being traded here.
No quarter given between the two of them there. That was really aggressive, but driving from the two of them. Vince Peters trying it round the outside into the Mercedes arena, but Aldrini went, no thank you sunshine, gets the elbows out, slams the door, right shut in his face. We've got 2 laps left, you would think. With there being 15 minutes left, there is 2 laps left of this race. So this is now a proper balls to the wall fight to the finish. Nick Madsen has pitted as well. He's 16 seconds now behind Simon Underhill. You can see coming through the start of the Nordschleife. We've seen this before. I feel like this is a replay again, but I can assure you it's not. He's just going very, very slowly, and I think he's now, when that car is looking, I can't even say it looks second hand, it looks fourth hand at this stage. Very sensibly peels off and looks like he's retired the car, and that is his race done for this evening.
One careful owner, I think, on that one. But now, why Senni Lanson's been in the pit again? So that's a third pit stop for Senni Lanson's. That's very, very unusual. We'll try and get the behind the scenes gossip on that one. But right, this is not what we expected, because we knew Peters was fast. We knew that there was a high likelihood that he was going to be challenging for the lead, but I didn't expect Francois Aldrini to throw an absolute rocket into this and turn this into a fight, because we've seen Vince Peters try to be very measured, but we've also seen Francois Aldrini is not afraid to get his elbows out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you go back to the pre-qualifying race at Le Mans, and Francois Aldrini was the one that we were looking at in that race, weren't we? And thinking, Jesus, this guy's pretty quick, isn't he? He's got a really good chance of kind of getting the cat amongst the pigeons for the rest of this race, rest of the season. Sorry, not quite had it all his way, to be perfectly fair to him. He's had a few unfortunate incidents in races gone past. He still finds himself 6th in the championship at the moment, but the first couple of rounds and the last round at Watkins Glen, the first race in particular, weren't his friend. So he's now currently 70 points off the back of Vince Peters on 252. So if he can keep this together, that's going to be a nice little start of a bit of a comeback trail maybe, and something that, based on his previous form at the start of the championship, is going to be richly deserved.
Yeah, for sure. And you can see the clouds starting to gather here as the sun goes down in Germany, in Nürburgring. And this is just everything you could want. You don't need the sun when you've got drivers like this lighting up the track and lighting up the circuit here at Nürburgring. Francois Aldrini in the lead of this race as we go with just about 10 minutes left to go. But it's going to be 10 minutes plus 1 lap as the cars have to then finish the lap that they are on. So Francois Aldrini still ahead of Vince Peters, and if there was anybody that wasn't going to be rattled by having Vince Peters, I would say it's Francois Aldrini.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been, like I say, he's been caught up in a few incidents, but when it's come for defensive driving, he's really been he's been rock solid, you would say, so far this season. And he's probably the kind of person that Vince is looking at. I mean, look, for all I know, Vince might look at any person in front of him and go, yeah, that's fine. I'll make it happen at some point. But if there's one person who don't want there, it's probably that man in front of him at the moment. Either him or Nick Madsen, but obviously Nick, as you can see, losing time after that final pit stop. He's lost 2 seconds already. But these guys, they're not holding anything back. You can see how aggressive they are at the moment coming back down the hill towards the middle part of the circuit. This is unbelievable stuff from the two of them. Considering the volatile nature of these Porsche Cup cars, they are absolutely going heavy metal, and this is incredible to watch from the interior of the 45 Volante racing car.
Yeah, for sure. So Pro Class then, Francois Aldrini from Vince Peters, Nick Madsen with Bastian Mittler in 4th, Senny Lansons in 5th, and then Laurent Benzo in 6th position. Pro Am is going to be Igor Koss with Stuart Reynolds in 2nd, Cody Pride down in 3rd, Dan Sedgley in 4th, and Steve Martin in 5th position. Then in the Am class, Eric Benson ahead of Chris Chatterton, and then it's Dean Timms, Thomas Firm Jr., and it's going to be John Williams as well. So not so many cars left on the lead lap here. I think, what was that? We've got about maybe 18 cars left on the lead lap here, but the rest of them giving a really, really good effort here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we always kind of had it in the back of our minds that it'd be a bit of a war of attrition this race, wouldn't it? As you can see there, that's Senny Lanson's being pressurised, by Stuart Reynolds, who's actually in the Pro-Am class, so slightly different between the two there. Ryan Hamilton leaving the pit lane. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen on this one. He's lost it again, you'd assume, going into the first hairpin. Or what? Well, he thought he was going into the first hairpin. He just decided not to take it.
You know what it is, David? He's come out of pit lane to see how much damage he's got and realised the car is absolutely uncontrollable. So he's just ended up deciding, yeah, enough is enough, and he'll likely just be tootling around trying to get some points here. But here we go. We've now got lap traffic coming into this. Is that not actually who we just saw there? Is that not Ryan Hamilton in front? Oh.
Yeah, it is indeed. Yeah, interesting to see. I'm just picking up as well. Chris Chatterton and Igor Koss, so 2nd and 1st in the in the Am and Pro-Am class respectively, are still yet to pit. So that gap for Eric Benson will increase, and that will promote Stuart Reynolds back into the lead of this race. And it means that Cody Pride has gained quite a significant amount of time on Stuart Reynolds. He's now within 5 seconds, or just over 5 seconds, back from Stuart Reynolds. So with a couple of laps to go, as we said, there's a lot to play for at the top end of all these classes, especially in the Pro and Pro-Am classes.
Yeah, just watching here, this is Chris Chatterton then, and in that number 16 machine, just making his way around the track through the left-hander there. And so what do we do then, given that we've got about 0.3 of a second left to go, and Igor Koss, that is not what you want to do in the lead currently of the Pro-Am class, but again, got to make that second pit stop, and that's really not going to help his cause any.
No, absolutely. I mean, if you look at them, they're losing, about 30 seconds, you would argue, in the pit stop phase.
Aldrini just having a monster moment trying to hold that on. And look at Vince Peters now. My goodness me, David, that was a wiggle and a half there. But crucially, he's kept Vince Peters at bay at the proper point. It's going to be through the mini carousel, then onto the right-hander, onto the straight here. And again, Vince Peters will get the toe, get past him, and then Aldrini can just zip straight past him again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what he's going to be wanting to do, isn't he? He'll be quite happy. I think Francois knows he's got the pace to keep with Vince Peters on a lap of this track. He was, obviously, as I said earlier, he was quickest in practice. You see the weaving starting down the Dottinger Straight, but it's only a matter of time. It's not a case of if it's a case of when will Vince Peters make that move. So he's sitting in the wheel tracks. He'll drop off to the left-hand side in just a second. He's done this a few times. He'll go a little bit further across if he knows what he normally does. There you go. Same again. Starts to make the move. But as you said, David, yeah, Francois Aldrini's going to have prime position if he can keep close enough to do exactly the same thing on the final lap, although they're still very close. There's less than half a tenth between them. Francois Aldrini's going to try and stick with him, going into the Nord curve, going into the final couple of corners. Goodness me, this is close.
He's lost it! Vince Peters had a huge moment. The two of them have gone Francois Aldrini late on the brakes, loses it into the barriers, gets going again. The two of them outbrake themselves. Vince Peter get going again. Oh my God, we get going again with one final lap to go. You would imagine with that 110 here, this is incredible racing, incredible respect here. You can see Francois Aldrini on the right hand side. Vince Peters knows it's game over. He's into the grass, thankfully avoids everything. And look, there's Francois Aldrini into the barriers. So this is my question. Vince Peters escaped with that relatively drama free. That was a heavy hit for Francois Aldrini. Is he carrying big damage into this final lap?
Yeah, absolutely. He's lost 3 tenths already. I think it was 1.9 seconds, and they both kind of returned from the skirmish. It's interesting to see what actually happened to Aldrini there. It just looked like he lost it, presumably trying to avoid anything from Vince Peters trying to come back onto the track and take him out, which luckily nothing happened. Of course, it wouldn't have been anyone's fault. It was just two people battling as hard as they can for the lead of a race. And you can see this is Francois Gio just caught the curb on the inside of that on that left-hander, which is one they go so close to the wall, don't they? Just went a bit too close and hit the wall as a result. Really unfortunate. But has he got enough pace in him as Vince Peters locks up into the hairpin to keep that 2-second gap and keep the position on what will be the final lap of the race?
Yeah, I'll take that back actually. After watching how heavy he hit the wall, it wasn't heavy at all. I don't think there'll be very much damage on the front left of Francois Aldrini. Vince Peters is absolutely trying his hardest. I would imagine that Vince Peters is likely just trying to push as hard as he can as Igor Kos and Cody Pride into pit lane. So Cody Pride is not going to take second place in the Pro-Ams. I wonder if Cody Pride has had another accident there. We'll certainly check that one out. But he's into pit lane now. But wow, this is intense stuff. We've got about 5 minutes left to go and look up the outside of the carousel, and that is why Cody Pride is going to be into the pits.
Yeah, you just see him crabbing coming out of the carousel there, didn't you? You knew at that point he wasn't going to be getting around the last lap of this race without any possible troubles. Looking towards the top end of the Pro Class as well, Bastian Mattler within a second of Nick Madsen at the moment, so that third place position for Madsen under a bit of threat. As you can see there, here is the gap as they go into the Nordschleife circuit, part of the circuit for the final time. That is one of the Nomad Sim racing cars. I think that is it's not Chatterton, sorry, that will be John Williams. They've just gone past there, but Mattler is closing this gap hand over fist. He's now within half a second nearly of Madsen in front. Madsen had a fantastic start to this race, but has fallen off a little bit towards the back end, and he's going to be under a bit of pressure now to try and hold on to that final podium position.
Ooh, this is a bit of a spicy end to the race. We never saw this one coming, but is very, very much welcome as Nick Madsen. You've got to say, I mean, he was looking so good, but it's just if he holds on to this podium, it'll be a well-deserved podium for him. However, I've got even worse news. Cody Pride still in the pit lane. He comes out now. I think he'll struggle to hold on to that fourth place now because he's got Dean Timms behind. In fact, no, that's not for class, so he should hold on to that fourth position in class. Then we'll forget that I just said anything at all there. But yeah, he'll keep pushing on. But I wonder if he's going to push a little bit too hard there, as we see. Bastian Mattler trying to hold on to the back of Nick Madsen, and holding on is not the right word because Nick Madsen looks like a sitting duck here as they come through the foxhole for the final time of asking. But wow, what a race we've had. We've had thrills, we've had spills, we've had amazing overtaking where we didn't really, and you said it earlier on, but I absolutely agreed with you, David. I didn't think we were going to have much in the way of overtaking, and we definitely have.
Yeah, we've been spoilt rotten, haven't we? These guys have really put on a show as normally you would come to expect. But like I said, on this track, on this circuit, you wouldn't necessarily expected the amount of overtaking action we've seen. Of course, we've seen action in many different ways. We've seen people in the wall. We see Cody Pride now. Is this going to be another incident for him on another replay coming into the forward curve? I think that is just coming out down the hill towards the hairpin, and there you go, just loses the back end. And yeah, as you said, David, probably exactly right, pushing a bit too hard, and makes a mistake as a result.
Yeah, that is very, very difficult to watch. However, we go back then, and Nick Madsen still trying to hold on to that position from Bastian Mattler there. I do hope Nick Mason does hold on to this position because he's worked really, really hard. We thought that there was a potential that he was going to hold on to the back of Vince Peters. Vince Peters obviously thought much better of that. He did a remarkable job of holding that position there. But, I mean, with less than probably 4 minutes to go in the race, you would say here, it's looking very, very good. Although I say that, and Vince Peters has brought that gap down by about 0.4 of a second in half a lap. Oh, this is just starting to ratchet up even more.
Yeah, absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that gap is falling rather quickly indeed. No real reason as to why he's not going to be within slip. He's not going to be within drafting distance. Oh goodness me! Coming through the curve, Vince Peters. You can see how much he's pushing, can't you? Goodness me! Just gets the back end squirreling. About 130, 140 mile an hour there. That is unbelievable stuff. He's managed to hold on to it, but coming into the carousel, into the final sector, he's within 1.5 seconds. This is where he's really started to gain some pace on the other drivers. He is confident through this final sector of the lap. Can he bridge that gap? Oh, Aldrini's gone wide coming out of the carousel. That is the move done. Vince Peters into the lead of the race. Job done. Aldrini has been the architect of his own demise and has lost the lead as a result.
Wow, an unforced error from Francois Aldrini coming out of the carousel. The car just loops it and into the barrier very, very slightly, gets it going again, but that is going to be the position done and dusted, and he's done it again. Vince Peters has done it again from the back of the pack to take the lead of the race, and, I mean, oh no, not again. Please no, Cody. Cody, no. Oh, that's looking so bad, isn't it? Yeah, that car's done. Just get the kettle on, lad. Get the pot noodle going. It's done. You just stick a fork in it. Goodness me. Right. So yeah, he's done it again, David. Vince Peters in the lead of the race from seemingly nowhere. I didn't see that happening. Now, I'll be honest, coming into this final lap.
The old last to first challenge, courtesy of your main man, Vince Peters. That is unbelievable. Look at that. 9 positions, like you say, last on the grid, of course, because of the reverse grid being done by the championship order going into this round. So he will start last next week as well when we head to Donington Park for 2 more sprint races. But yeah, he's done a fantastic job. And a lot of it, he's not actually, I say he's not had to work hard for. That's really unfair on him. He has had to, and you can see how hard he's working, because even now, when he's 6.5, 7 seconds ahead of his nearest rival in Francois Aldrini, he is not holding back, is he? He is putting his foot to the floor. But he's had a few people kind of almost move out of his way. And like I say, the big one was Aldrini a second ago, just losing it out of the first carousel and unfortunately ending up in the Wolf. Luckily for him, though, he looks like he's got enough of a gap back to Nick Madsen to hold on to second place at least, which will be a small consolation given how hard he has worked to try and win this one.
Absolutely speechless. It's been a fantastic race. Also been a fantastic race for Eric Benson ahead of Chris Chatterton and Timms as well. Dean Timms in third place in that AM fight as well. So great to see that. And Madsen's lost the position to Bastian Maitler. He gets that job done, and Madsen has to concede that position. Although, if you're going to do it at any point, you might as well do it here onto the Dottinger Straight, as he's got a good chance to try and catch into the toe. But here we go then. It's all about this man here. It's been the unlikeliest of unlikely wins here for Vince Peters, coming through with just a couple of corners left to go, and it's made it look so straightforward for him. But it's going to be another win, another W on the books for Vince Peters to come across the line and take round 5 of the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup, and side by side then, this is for third position. Nick Mason goes onto the grass, tries to get it, there's contact, the two of them go flying off, and that was a horrible accident, and Nick Mason is going to try and take that one. Francois Aldrini takes second place, and Maitler has absolutely been nuked from orbit. Race Control are going to be clicking their pens furiously. You can almost certainly see that one coming. We'll keep an eye on that on the protest sheets in about 2 weeks' time. But oh my goodness me, Senny Lansons is going to finish in 5th place. You just knew that. I mean, that from Nick Mason at the end there. Any racing driver, I think, any racing driver would have done exactly the same and went for that.
100%. You keep your foot in that regardless of what happens. This is Nick Madsen going very slowly over the line. Is he He hasn't let Matla through. The timing sheets tell us, confirm that he did actually take third place in the end. I'm just making sure he's not had a slight change of heart at the end, but he has confirmed himself as that final podium position. Senna Lanson's coming through in 5th place. But yeah, anyone with a racing head in themselves will have gone for that move, 100%. And perfect time. Look at that. Senna Lanson's final lap of the race takes the fastest lap as well. But yeah, fantastic stuff.
Yep, Stuart Reynolds crosses the line to take the Pro-Am victory ahead of Dan Sedgley and Igor Kos in 3rd position as well. It's then going to be Steve Martin taking 4th place and Cody Pride out of the race. Heartbreak for Cody Pride. Then we look to this man here, Eric Benson, who has just looked flawless in that Amfield ahead of Chris Chatterton and Dean Timms, as well as Thomas Warren Jr. and at the back there John Williams. But a very, very well deserved win in the AM class for Eric Benson. Slow-mo racing, light to the breeze here at the Nürburgring to take the win. Brilliant stuff. And that'll be 2nd place, as we said, for Chris Chatterton. But wow, I mean, what do you say to that, David? That is one of the best last laps I think we've had for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we were set up for a grandstand finish, and we saw Aldrini and Peters coming out of the pit lane within pretty much 2-3 tenths of a second coming onto the penultimate lap, and it didn't. Well, there was no holding back. Was there? Proper fireworks finish. Unfortunate that Aldrini, of course, lost it coming out of the carousel. Really big shame that he ended up 12 seconds adrift in the end. But he'll be happy. I think he's had a good result in the meantime, and Peters obviously should be happy that he's managed to do another first challenge again. Pro-Ams wise, look, I feel for Cody Pride more than anyone, really. I've got to be honest. Credit to Reynolds, Sedgley and Kos for getting the podium, but Cody Pride had a chance for a win there, and unfortunately, just a couple of incidents. Just the straw that broke the camel's back was that last one going through the floodplaats, and as you can see, didn't finish the race. And then look, Eric Benson, class above in the AM class, wasn't he? What was it, 35 seconds? I think he had. He even finished ahead of some of the guys in the classes above him as well. So that just shows you how much pace and consistency he had throughout the race this evening. So fantastic job from all of those involved.
Yeah, well, let's have a chat with some of the drivers then. First up tonight is going to be our race winner and pro winner, Vince Peters, ready to have a chat with us. Vince, very good evening. That was a bit of a manic last lap there.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster, to say the very least. Yeah, it was just... I didn't think I would catch up to the P1 and P2 because at one point I was 13 seconds behind. But then I guess in the pit stops, I did some good pit stops, and at the very end I was past Francois, and then we had both had a crash in the second to last lap. Still have to figure out what happened there. And then he unfortunately he spun, and we couldn't really battle it out until the line.
Right, so the two bits that we have to talk about, well, obviously, I mean, it's yet another amazing performance. We say this week in, week out, where you're having to start from the back, Vince, and you make this exemplary run through the field. But that second to last lap corner, you're coming along the Dottinger straight, and he pulls out. What happened between the two of you going into that final couple of corners?
I haven't looked at it yet, but I think I just lost it on my own. Yeah, no idea. And then my heart just sank, obviously, going 200 kph there, and then I managed to save it with just a little tap to the wall, no damage at all. So yeah, that was a bit lucky.
And then obviously you're chasing him down and coming out of the carousel. What was your reaction to that?
It was a huge relief, of course, because it was gonna be close at the end. I was catching up a very, very bit, like a little bit, but yeah, then he just lost it, and I was like, finally I can rest. But it would have been nice to just battle it out on the straight until the very end, but maybe next time.
And obviously a huge haul of points for the championship towards yourself, and going towards the tail end of this championship comfortably in the lead and looking very commanding. What's the game plan going into the final couple of races? Are you going to be easing off a little bit, making sure to get the points, or are you just still going for it?
Well, when there's a chance to go for a move, of course, I won't back out. But Nick is still very consistent, Nick Madsen. So I just have to keep it consistent myself as well. And yeah, I was really on my toes with Nick. I didn't really be too aggressive because we did some sketchy moves on the Nordschleife, but I managed to get past, and that was actually very important for this race.
Obviously, it's a much smaller field tonight, but I can imagine with all of that fighting that you had to do, not just with Nick, but also with Francois, it makes it almost irrelevant.
Yeah, there are only 9 guys in the pro field, but I think there are 4 or 5, at least 4 fast guys. So there was a lot of competition. So I didn't have to. I didn't get it easy.
Well, a huge congratulations from both of us here in the commentary booth on
Thanks,
an
man.
amazing win tonight, Vince. Well, obviously, next week we're going to the virtual flight to England. You're going to Donington. We'll see you there. Best luck.
See you there. Bye-bye.
So there we go then. Vince Peters and David, I mean, a worthy winner tonight, but what a race.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I mean, what a humble bloke as well. It's the first time I've had the chance to speak to him, isn't it? But he is, really courteous. It was interesting to hear his perspective on the committee between him and Francois. And look, like I say, well-deserved winner. He knows how to put that car around any circuit he gets on, doesn't he? Realistically, he has got some ability that other people just don't seem to have, where he just can put the car in the right spot, no matter who's around him, how fast he's going compared to them, or anything like that. So, yeah, really well done. And, like you said, a very worthy winner.
Certainly is. That is it then for us tonight here at the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup, the EU. Stick around later on tonight. We've got the American version of round 6. They are actually doing Donington tonight later on, and they'll be enjoying that. But anyway, that is all for us tonight. I've been David Christie. A huge thank you to David Dressel in the co-commentary box as well. Steve Proudley behind the scenes on the broadcast direction and those lovely cameras. We will see you the same time next week. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.